The docking bay of Station Helios hummed with the usual cacophony of starship engines and hydraulic lifts. Kenneth wiped grease from his hands, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the plasma welder he'd just set down. Another 12-hour shift fixing hyperdrives for species that barely acknowledged his existence. He'd grown accustomed to it. Humans were still the newcomers in this corner of the galaxy, tolerated but rarely respected. He made his way to the station's commissary, a cramped space where dozens of species gathered to refuel their bodies as their ships refueled in the bays. The air was thick with exotic scents, sulfurous Krellian cuisine, the sweet vapor of Thandorian nutrient mists, and somewhere beneath it all, the familiar aroma of synthetic protein the humans called food. Kanat ordered his usual, reconstituted beef stew, a luxury he could barely afford, and found a corner table. The first spoonful was heaven after a long day of crawling through engine compartments. That's when he noticed her. Anna stood near the entrance, her slender frame wrapped in a tattered cloak that had once been elegant. She wasn't human. Her skin held an iridescent quality that shifted between pale blue and silver under the station's lights, and her eyes were too large, too luminous. A Valyrian, if Kenneth remembered correctly, refugees from the Outer Rim conflicts that had displaced millions, but it wasn't Anna who caught his attention. It was the child clutching her hand. The little girl couldn't have been more than 5 in human years. She shared her mother's iridescent skin, but her eyes held a hunger that transcended species. Those eyes were locked on Kenneth's plate with an intensity that made his chest tighten. Anna noticed her daughters staring and gently tugged her hand, whispering something in their melodic language. The child's gaze dropped immediately, and Anna began to lead her toward the exit. They'd clearly come to the commissary hoping for discarded scraps or perhaps a forgotten meal. Pride and desperation warring in Anna's posture. Kanat's spoon paused halfway to his mouth. He'd seen that look before. During the resource wars on Earth, before humanity reached the stars, he'd worn that same expression as a child in the ruins of Detroit. That hollow-eyed stare that came from too many days without proper food. "Wait," Kenneth called out, his voice cutting through the multilingual chatter. Anna froze, her body tensing like a prey animal sensing danger. She turned slowly, her luminous eyes meeting his with a mixture of fear and defiance. The little girl pressed against her mother's leg. Kenneth stood, picking up his tray. Several nearby aliens glanced his way with disdain, humans drawing attention to themselves again. He ignored them, walking over to where Anna and her daughter stood. "This seat taken?" he asked, gesturing to a nearby empty table. Anna's expression remained guarded, but she gave a slight shake of her head. Kanat set his tray down and pulled out 2 additional chairs. "Join me. I always make the mistake of ordering too much. Can't possibly finish all this." It was a lie. He could have eaten 3 times that amount after the day he'd had. But some lies were worth telling. Anna's pride warred with her daughter's need. Kenneth could see it in her eyes. The internal battle every parent faced when circumstances forced impossible choices. The little girl tugged on her mother's cloak, whispering something urgent in Valyrian. "Please," Kenneth added softly. "I hate eating alone." Something in Anna's resolve cracked. She nodded once, a gesture so small it was almost imperceptible, and sat down with her daughter. The child's eyes never left the plate. Kanat pushed the tray to the center of the table and pulled out his communicator, tapping through to the commissary counter. 3 more orders of the stew, please, and some of that fruit synthesizer special." He looked at the little girl. "You like sweet things?" The child nodded enthusiastically, a smile breaking through her solemn expression for the first time. As they waited for the food, Anna spoke in halting standard. "We cannot. We have no credits. Didn't ask for any," Kanat replied. "Consider it payment." Anna's brow furrowed in confusion. "Payment? For what service?" "For reminding me why I fix ships," Kanat said, leaning back in his chair. "Every vessel that leaves this station carries people. People with families, with kids who get hungry. Easy to forget that when you're elbow deep in a malfunctioning drive core all day." The food arrived, and Kanat watched as the little girl ate with the kind of desperate politeness that broke his heart, wanting to devour everything instantly, but having been taught manners even in deprivation. Anna ate more slowly, her eyes glistening with emotions she wouldn't voice. "My name's Kanat," he said between bites. "Human, obviously. Mechanic in Bay 7. Anna, she replied quietly. And this is Lyria. We were from Valeria Prime, before the bombardment. Canet nodded, not pushing for details he could imagine all too well. Instead, he asked, "You looking for work?" The station always needs people. I know the cargo bay supervisors. They hire outside the guild system. Anna's eyes widened. They would hire Valerian? We are not popular since the war. They'll hire anyone who works hard and doesn't steal, Canet said. And I'll vouch for you. That counts for something. For the first time, Anna's guarded expression softened into something approaching hope. Why would you do this for strangers? Canet thought about his own childhood, about the kindness of strangers that had kept him alive when the world was falling apart, about the teacher who'd shared her rations, the engineer who'd taught him his trade, the countless small mercies that had given him a future. Because someone did it for me once, he said, simply. And because that's what humans do, we take care of each other. All of us. He smiled at little Lyria, who was savoring her synthesized fruit with pure joy. Besides, the galaxy's big enough for everyone to get a decent meal. Just takes people remembering their people, you know? Anna reached across the table, her iridescent hand hovering over his calloused human one for a moment before making contact. Thank you, Kanat of Earth. You have given us more than food today. As they finished their meal together, a human mechanic, an alien refugee and her daughter, the station hummed on around them, indifferent to one small act of kindness. But in that moment, in that corner of the galaxy, humanity's greatest strength wasn't their engineering or their stubborn persistence. It was simply this: the ability to see hunger in any eyes and respond with compassion, regardless of how many stars separated their origins.